Following the first case of COVID-19 reported in Nigeria February 2020, the NCDC has continued to lead public health response activities. And one critical priority for the response is the scale-up of access to testing. And as part of those measures, the NCDC worked with states and partners to establish walk-in sites for sample collection, increase communications around testing, and activate at least one testing laboratory in every state and the FCT. Well, joining us in the studio, Dr. Jonathan Dangana, a public health scientist, to assess the COVID-19 testing so far. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me.
I'd like to begin. Is there timely access to testing in Nigeria as at now? We know that earlier we had the major challenge of turnaround testing time for testing. And, is that still the case or has anything changed?
I want to commence by saying that it is noteworthy to actually commend government for what she has put in place, looking at where we started from as far as the issue of COVID is concerned, to where we are. So yes, in terms of access to testing, there is a fantastic improvement in that. And then, of course, that means that in every state across the country, there is actually a place that one can walk in and be able to find services being rendered in terms of tests to be done for such a person. But looking at the turnaround time, I will also say, in fact, in my opinion, the turnaround time is even more fantastic than even the access. As it is now, tops when you go into a facility, within at most 24 hours, you will get a response. But in most cases, you actually, within an hour, within 6 hours, you actually will get a result as far as the COVID-19 test is concerned.
Supposed to, but a lot of people still complain that it takes some even 72 hours before they can get a result.
So the truth is that while those are unique experiences of people, you also will have days that you can get overwhelmed. In those centers, sometimes you get overwhelmed. You can see that in terms of how much data that the NCDC turns out on a daily basis. You have some days that the record and the numbers skyrocket. Other days it looks like, oh, we're all fine. There is no problem elsewhere. So, but give or take, there is significant improvement. There's significant improvement.
So if we look at perhaps maybe a year ago, this period, the 21st to the 27th of December, we had tested about 937 million, almost a million, 937,037 samples. And looking at now, this is also about that week in December, but a little over a year because COVID was registered in February of last year. We're looking at a figure at about 3.8 million. Would you say this is significant progress? And this is also seeing how COVID has come from last year to the where it is now.
So you see, very, very interesting. Thank you. That question is mind-boggling. So looking at the time frame within a year, quantitatively, that is in terms of numbers, if you're going to count 1, 2, 3, you will say we have done fantastic well. We've done very well. But hey, come to think about it, in a country of where you are having a population of over 100 million people, and you're only talking about 3 million people being tested, that tells you that there is a lot that needs, or there is a lot that hasn't been done. Okay? So quantitatively, in terms of number, you will say you hear 3 million. In fact, 3 million is not even up to the population of a state. So that is, you can actually even say that within a year, we still haven't been able to test a state in Nigeria, given the numbers and the statistics that we have put in place. But again, there are so many factors that are responsible for that. But I think we're better off from where we started from. But we can do much more.
So looking to the future, and this is also as the world is fighting COVID-19, Omicron, and who knows what variants might be waiting in the future, what should the federal government and its agencies be doing?
Sometimes it's difficult when you want to speak in favor of government. But in clear terms, government needs to scale up her responsibility. And what do I mean by that? In my opinion, this is time to have all hands on deck. Every facet of government entity, be it the academia, be it the private sector, each individual or each entity has a role to play in changing this narrative. Because not every citizen finds his way or finds his footsteps around the coffers of government. So each sector where you have the population carrying out her day-to-day activity, there ought to be a strategy as to how each of the citizens needs to be addressed or how they can be reached. In my opinion, I think that there is more that we can do that we aren't doing. I also think that we should and must be able to have all hands on deck. And what I mean by that, all hands on deck, nobody should be left behind. Everybody's idea at this point in time is important. But we need to synthesize those ideas to see which one becomes viable. Because in each phase of the country, there are specific cultural diversity. So you cannot have one fit all an approach. Okay, so what may work for us in Lagos may fundamentally not work for somebody who is far off in Sokoto or somebody who is far off in Nabia.
Indeed. We appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us.
Still
a holiday for a lot of people.
Exactly.
Dr. Jonathan Dangana, a public health scientist, many thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. Have a nice holiday.
To you as well.